Epictetus was born around 55 AD in the ancient city of Hierapolis, which is now part of modern-day Turkey. His early life, however, was far from a tale of privilege or luxury. Epictetus came into the world as a slave. From his very birth, he was owned by someone else, his existence dictated by the whims and orders of his master. But within this seemingly bleak and restricted life, Epictetus discovered a powerful path towards wisdom that would shape not only his future but the future of Stoic philosophy itself. As a slave, Epictetus had no personal freedom, no rights, and was subject to the harsh treatment and control of his master. His early years were spent under the dominion of Epictetus, a wealthy and powerful man who served as a secretary to Emperor Nero. Though Epictetus was physically free to move, his actions and choices were entirely controlled by his master. In the course of his service, Epictetus suffered from a physical disability that left him with a permanent limp. It is believed that his master may have caused the injury, although the specifics remain unclear. The condition was a constant reminder of the limitations imposed on him by external circumstances, but it was also an early lesson in the Stoic principle that true freedom is not determined by physical conditions but by the state of the mind. Despite his status as a slave, Epictetus was given the opportunity to study philosophy, and he found himself drawn to the teachings of Stoicism, a school of thought that emphasized the importance of virtue, rationality, and inner peace. He studied under Musonius Rufus, a renowned Stoic philosopher, and his exposure to these ideas became a defining point in his life. Epictetus embraced the Stoic belief that while we cannot control the events of the world around us, we can control how we respond to them. This central tenet of Stoicism would become the cornerstone of his own teachings. Stoicism, founded by Zeno of Citium in the early 3rd century BC, teaches that virtue is the highest good and that it is achieved through wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. According to Stoic philosophy, the path to a good life is not through wealth, status, or external achievements, but through living in accordance with nature and accepting the things we cannot change. Stoics believe that the world is governed by a rational order, and that human beings must align their own behavior with this order in order to live in harmony with it. This harmony, according to the Stoics, brings peace of mind and true happiness. For Epictetus, these ideas resonated deeply. As a slave, he had little control over his external circumstances, but through Stoic philosophy, he realized that he could control his internal world, his thoughts, emotions, and reactions. He could choose how he would interpret and respond to the challenges and suffering of his life. This revelation was transformative. Even in his most limited circumstances, Epictetus found a sense of freedom, one that was far more profound than any physical liberty could offer. In time, Epictetus gained his freedom, likely sometime after the death of Nero, when his master Epictetus fell from favor. Now a free man, Epictetus dedicated himself fully to the study and teaching of Stoic philosophy. He eventually moved to Nicopolis, a city in northwestern Greece, where he founded his own school. There, he taught a new generation of students the principles of Stoicism, focusing on the idea that the key to a good life lies in mastering oneself rather than trying to control external circumstances. Epictetus did not leave behind any written works of his own, but his teachings were recorded by one of his students, Arrian. Arrian wrote down Epictetus' lectures and conversations, which were later compiled into 2 works, the Discourses and the Enchiridion. These texts provide a detailed account of Epictetus' philosophy and his practical advice for living a virtuous life. One of the core concepts in Epictetus' teachings is the distinction between what is in our control and what is not in our control. He often spoke of the importance of focusing on the former and letting go of the latter. According to Epictetus, we have control over our thoughts, judgments, desires, and actions. These are the things that are truly within our power. Everything else, our bodies, our possessions, our reputations, and the actions of others, are outside of our control. To become attached to things outside our control is to invite frustration, disappointment, and suffering. Instead, we must learn to accept the world as it is, understanding that we cannot change certain events or circumstances, but we can always control our response to them. This idea of control, or the lack of it, is tied to another important Stoic concept that Epictetus emphasized: the dichotomy of control. He taught that when faced with any situation, we must ask ourselves whether it is something we have power over. If it is within our control, we should take appropriate action. If it is not, we should accept it calmly and without complaint. This approach fosters a sense of equanimity in the face of life's challenges, helping individuals to maintain their peace of mind even when things go wrong. For Epictetus, living a virtuous life was not just about intellectual understanding, it required constant practice and discipline. He believed that philosophy should be lived, not merely studied. He encouraged his students to apply Stoic principles in their daily lives, to practice self-control, patience, and resilience, and to face adversity with courage and serenity. In his view, philosophy was not an abstract exercise but a way of life, a guide to living with purpose and dignity in the face of hardship. One of Epictetus' most famous teachings is the idea that we are responsible for our own happiness and that external circumstances cannot take it away from us unless we allow them to. He used the metaphor of a banquet to illustrate this point, saying that life is like a feast, and we should approach it with humility and gratitude, taking what is offered to us without greed or dissatisfaction. If something is placed before us, we can accept it with grace. If it is not, we should not feel deprived or resentful. This mindset, he argued, allows us to find contentment regardless of our external conditions. Epictetus also spoke of the importance of understanding our roles in life. Each of us has a specific role to play, whether as a parent, a child, a teacher, or a friend, and we must fulfill these roles with integrity and responsibility. This idea aligns with the Stoic belief in living in accordance with nature, part of which involves recognizing and accepting the natural order of things, including our own place within it. To rebel against our roles, or to seek to be something we are not, is to go against nature and to cause ourselves unnecessary pain. Throughout his teachings, Epictetus emphasized the importance of reason. He believed that human beings are rational creatures and that it is through the use of reason that we can rise above our base desires and emotions. By thinking clearly and rationally, we can make wise decisions and avoid being swept away by fear, anger, or other destructive emotions. For Epictetus, emotions were not to be suppressed but understood and managed through rational thought. This rational approach to life, he argued, was the key to achieving true freedom and peace of mind. Epictetus' teachings attracted a wide range of students, from young philosophers to Roman officials. His school in Nicopolis became one of the most respected centers of Stoic thought in the ancient world, and his influence spread far beyond its walls. His message of inner freedom and resilience in the face of external hardship resonated with many, particularly those who, like Epictetus himself, had experienced suffering and oppression. Though he lived nearly 2,000 years ago, Epictetus' philosophy continues to be influential in modern times. His teachings on self-discipline, personal responsibility, and the importance of focusing on what is within our control are as relevant today as they were in ancient Rome. Many of his ideas have been incorporated into contemporary self-help and psychology, particularly in the field of cognitive behavioral therapy, which emphasizes the role of thought patterns in shaping emotions and behavior. Epictetus' life and philosophy are a testament to the idea that true freedom is not dependent on external circumstances. He began life as a slave, a person without legal rights or autonomy, but through Stoicism, he found a path to inner freedom and mastery over himself. His journey from servitude to philosophical mastery illustrates the transformative power of Stoic thought, a philosophy that teaches us to live with purpose, accept what we cannot change, and find peace within ourselves. His legacy endures not because of the conditions of his life, but because of the wisdom he imparted and the example he set for others who seek to live virtuously in a complicated and often difficult world.